Hey Tom, how you doing?
I'm awesome. How are you?
Yeah, good. Good to chat again.
Yeah, wasn't that long ago, right?
Less than maybe a month, maybe. Yeah. How have you been?
Good, good. Busy, busy, and yeah, same,
Excellent.
same.
Excellent. So I'll get straight into it. You've partnered with Napalm for the new record. Um,
Right.
how have you found that switch and what are they bringing to the table for you?
So far so good. I mean, we're two singles in. It's not much to judge on the relationship on the business side of that, but so far great. I would say everything. They're ticking a lot of boxes that I was missing. They have a younger, more sort of contemporary crew working the offices, and they also have a real American office, which is important for us. So far, so good. I would say it's going well.
Can you talk about an American office? What does the American market mean for European bands?
For Evergrey specifically, we always toured America for since 20 years back. So it's like, but also you have to be in America to sort of maintain your what do you call it status there, right?
Yeah.
So given the last 2 years also with pandemics, it's hard. You have to start over, I guess. So we're looking at hopefully doing some bigger tour with opening for somebody or something like that. That's what we're looking at. That is for now. Yeah. So
The album's out at the end of May, and you've got two singles out at the moment. So, and the second single, Midwinter's Call, is actually the way you worded it. It's going in reverse in a trilogy.
yeah.
Explain more about that.
I mean, it was just a great sort of idea I had in terms of video making that we should make a storyline in the reverse and release the Save Us chapter last with us being thrown out in the woods and the second midwinter calls now is like us being interrogated about something, and I guess in the first in the prequel to that you will understand why we were being interrogated. So it's yeah, it's a fun creative way for us to be creative, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And videos are a rarity for a lot of bands now. Like everyone's going with like the lyric videos or visualizers and stuff. So, how important do you feel the video plays in telling the story of your songs?
I mean, I think it tells another story. Either it's a wider story of what I've intended to set out to do, but I mean, you're always gonna be sort of budget restrained in a sense because, of course, the visions I have in my head they are like 90-minute movies, So it's like
Sure.
we for sure don't have money for that. But I mean, and then we're just lucky to have been sort of a band that has been releasing albums and are used to doing videos. So that's of course always worked into the budget. That yeah, we need this amount of money for budgets for videos. So for us, it's something that I guess we will keep on doing. I don't know how many videos we made through the years. It's a ridiculous amount, and then we was also very lucky to have a good friend of ours making videos on a highly professional level with Patrick Elias. So
Sure. And Evergrey are a very prolific band. In a time where recently a lot of bands were forced to be creative due to not being able to tour. In some ways, it feels for me that Evergrey weren't affected when it came to being creative. You sort of just kept down the same path. Would you agree with that?
yeah, most definitely. I just discovered now after I would say like 24 months of constant writing for different things like Silent Skies and Evergrey and Redemption and this computer game music that I'm doing as well. It's like the more I write, the more creative I get. So I think going on tours, putting a sort of like a pause status on that, which has been what I've been used to for the last 25 years, So I've never had the chance to sort of explore what it would happen if I just kept on writing, and now I get to do that. So now I'm gonna be more pushing for us having more time in terms of during the actual recording and writing process, not doing that in between tours or or on tour even.
Yeah, rather I guess what you're saying is you'd rather the tour work around your writing than the writing work around a tour.
Yeah, which is the way it should be working. Also, it's like this is what we're out there to promote is the music. That's the sort of 100% most important thing, and everything else is secondary. So.
Now, with the songs on A Heartless Portrait, were they recorded at the same time as the last album, or it was just a fresh batch that you started in one go?
Yeah, it's a fresh batch. The day after Escape of the Phoenix came out, we had a meeting, and I said to the guys that I see this pandemic, it will go on for a while, and I don't see us touring within a year, so we should just do as everybody else does. Go to work and work your daily 8 hours and see what that brings us. And of course, then it also made sense for us to do another album as we were switching labels at the same time. So it was great turnaround for us to come out with a new album and in the same quality and energy as the last one, but on a new label. Yeah.
Now you're going to be going in on tour around September, and you really haven't had a chance to road test the songs from the last album. So do you see it being a mix of both of these albums with then some classic songs, or mainly still focusing on the new one?
I mean, we're in the privilege of having our last 4 albums being our biggest commercial successes. So we have to concentrate on them because 60% of our audience today is coming from the new era, which is soon. I mean, we released the insert now. What is it called? Hymns for the Broken album in 2014, right? And I think that from that album and onwards, we have been going. It has been a great time to be in Evergrey because the curve has been going straight up, and so we have to sort of feed that monster now, which is we can't sort of prioritize songs. B singles that was on an album 20 years ago. It doesn't make sense for us, At the same time, we have to keep 2 maybe of the classic songs in there, like A Touch of Blessing, for instance. It will never go out of fashion for us. So,
what do you think the change in the fan base was that started 10 years ago? Do you think there was some sort of shift?
It's either that you guys got it now, or we got it now. So we started doing things differently, but I think it's a combo, right? It's a combination of us doing something different, making some move that I don't know what it is. Maybe there's a bit more hope in the songwriting. I think it's not this totally darkness at all times. So I think that's what people also cling on to because it's sort of more reflect their life that. If you're in despair, there needs to be some light in the tunnel. Yeah,
and you talk about positivity and things like that. So when you're going through the track list for this album, you got Save Us, but then you've got a track like Ominous, and then that's followed by Call Out of the Dark. So to me, there's a bit of push and pull throughout the entire album. Is that how you found the songwriting process?
I mean, it's a reflection of my life and a reflection of my life, so that's pretty much what it is. And I mean, Ominous is about me being bullied as a kid, while Call Out the Dark is how I came to terms with being an outsider and sort of learn to not fear the darkness rather than have it as a companion, and then it's not a problem anymore, right? So, and then you have songs like Reawakening, which is on a much more brighter side of my personality, if you will, which is uplifting and energy giving and all that.
Is it difficult as a writer to go outside of you and look back in?
It's not difficult at the time, but I mean, as the title suggests, it's a more sort of ruthless, relentless story about me and how I see myself positioning myself in the world, where I don't feel like I want to fit in, because I don't. It's a world that I find, for the most part, a place that is hostile and non-rewarding towards me as a creative creature, in a sense. And at the same time, I really miss people. The interaction with our friends and fans live, this is why we play music. But I have always I watched myself from an outside perspective. I've always looked at myself as an outsider and not fitting in. So it's both. I've been too careless sometimes, telling the stories about myself, but I only discover that in hindsight when I read the lyrics that maybe I shouldn't have been this truthful. But at the same time, I can't be out here sort of in the forefront of talking about honest lyrics and then not being honest 100%. It doesn't work.
Sure, and if you deliver your truth, someone else might then find their truth easier to accept.
Hopefully that's how it works. I had a guy write me the other day. He was like 25 today, and he said that I've been with him since he was 11 years old, and that our music and my words gave him a reason to hope for a day where things would be better. What more? I don't need anything else than that guy telling me that. It's enough.
Exactly. Now you talk of touring. Every artist has their own sort of take on how they're going to tour. We've just come off the return of international festivals in Australia this last weekend. And there are things like COVID bubbles and weird restrictions. Sure. Do you see yourself doing things like meet and greets ready to go in September?
Yeah, because at some time you have to take a decision if you're gonna exclude yourself from a world, or if you're gonna sort of take your chances in a sense. Now, Evergrey Sweden was never closed. We never had any restrictions in that big as you did in Australia, where you were closed for 500 days or whatever it was, right? Yeah. I mean, for us, we've been open all the time, but we have had to sit 2 meters apart at bars and stuff. So I think the disease is now classified as a cold, more or less, in for the most people. And I think the people that need to be careful, they are gonna need to be careful in every aspect anyway, which is sad for them. But for the people that are usually healthy, I don't see this as a problem anymore. At least the Swedish view is like this. That this is not a. It's not a hazard health-wise anymore. It's like an, what do you call it? The seasonal flu, right?
Yeah, and
that's the level we're at right now.
I think the rest of the world needs to take that approach as well, because the more we live in fear, the more it's going to stay around.
And I mean, that's the thing. People looked at Sweden and thought we were idiots with our approach here.
Yeah.
And we didn't suffer at all economically for once, because we have everything's been open. People have been at work or working at home as much as possible. So but I mean, it's an event that we're gonna know there's a before and after now, and now we have to adapt to the new world, right?
Exactly. So September is a little while away. Do you see any touring before September?
Few festivals here and there. Not that much, to be honest, because it's been super hard to plan. Of course, I think it still is. I mean, Germany is still closed, and a lot of our shows are in Germany for this tour. So I hope they will lift the restrictions and things can go back to normal.
Sure, and especially touring in Europe is a lot different for a band. You have so many cities you can hit, whereas Australia, you take a 14-hour flight to play 5 cities that are not within driving distance. So how important is the European market to any band?
I mean, we don't see it like that. We travel and we play, so it doesn't matter if we travel 14 hours or 9 hours in a bus. It's we're there to play. So I'd say that all of the parts of the world is equally important for us. And then you can watch things from an economical perspective, and then it wouldn't make sense to go to South America, for instance. But then that's rewarding in a different way, So we love to go everywhere, and of course we live in Europe, and therefore we play here the most. But that's just logic, I guess.
Sure. And when it comes to the new album, how many songs do you see making it into the new set, and what's the one that you really are really excited to play live?
Well, I don't know how many songs, but at least 4, I would say. If we would do like 4 from each album for the last 4 albums, then we would have 16 songs, and then it's like that's a decent amount. And then add some classics, then it's like 19 songs. That's 9-hour Evergrey sets. No, it's like it's long enough. But I mean, so I really look forward to playing like midwinter calls and have this football soccer choir sounding in the halls we play. Yeah. So looking forward to that.
And what are you going to do now that the album's done and turned in between now and May?
Recorded a bunch of music videos, I think, and then I'm busy with doing next Evergrey album, next Silent Skies album, and so forth. So I have my schedule busy, and of course doing interviews now for days and days and days. I've been doing it for 6 weeks now, so it's like, it's yeah.
Fun. All right. Well,
it's fun.
I'm going to let you go for the rest of your day. Is there anything else you want to tell all your friends in Australia?
No, I mean, fucking bear with us. Hopefully, tell your local promoters to invite us, and we will be there as soon as we possibly can, because we really, really want to. So.